Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to Phillip Island for the second round of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 VRS Super Series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. I'm very happy to have Tyler Campbell alongside me for this race tonight, and Marco Barbner is operating the cameras. Like I said before, round 2 of the championship, we have 3 races in for you tonight, each 15 minutes in length, the first ever time we've used this format in this Formula 3 championship. As you can see, the points up on screen as well. Key Thiago Marto, the defending champion, heading into this round 2 of the championship in the lead, albeit so much more is left to be decided. 1 round of the championship gone, 7 still remaining. Tyler, fantastic to have you in the comms box tonight. Phillip Island circuit, some fast sweepers, very narrow on the most part as well. Not necessarily famed for its road racing, more motorcycles around this circuit, but particularly in these Formula 3 cars, it should be a lot of fun to drive.
You know what, man? Honestly, I am really excited to be here, not only to commentate, but to watch the race. A contest of, these circumstances with heat racing, which is, a really good recipe for some spiciness, per se, to try to make up some spaces and move your way forward to make some good points by the end of the overall session. And with this, 12-corner circuit with, as you said, those narrow, tight corners, but also some high-speed area, you're going to be really leaning into the, the downforce capabilities of these F3 cars. And, when given some situations of having to deal with dirty air, it's going to be really tricky, especially when you're really pushing for those extra tenths. So I'm really excited to see these drivers really test their limits of both the car and their abilities.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point about the turbulent air. It could be a problem for these drivers, yeah, it could be some fantastic slipstreaming as well. The final corner around this place in these Formula 3 cars should be easy flats, and even the first corner as well, such as the downforce that they produce, might even be flat out as well, so good opportunities. Maybe for overtakes, but yeah, with the reverse grids as well, a 6-car reverse grid for race 2, a 10-car reverse grid for race 3, you are going to need to be able to overtake if you're going to get some points. Tobias Olsen, though, is doing all he needs for race 1. The race 1 grid is decided by qualifying, that's what we're currently in at the moment, and the Swedish driver improving once again to first. Rasmussen, 4.5 tenths of a second off, but you can see really apart from Olsen, that entire top 10 is very close to one another. Justin Negretti currently top of the amateurs as Torp crosses the line to go to second and Larsen crosses the line to go to third, so it's a Scandinavian 1, 2, 3 at the moment.
Really excited to see what these drivers can pull out here. This is my first time looking at these guys, but already you can see with the close field, I mean, what is it, 2 tenths that separate the top 5 almost? This is just insane. I just can't wait to see what the heats end up turning out. You know, we still got a couple minutes left here in qualifying, so maybe a couple drivers have got something left up their sleeves, but it looks like everything is shaking out to be, regardless of where you are in the field, you're going to have some really close fights. Look at that, between the 244 and 204 of Morris and Boberg, 021 and 061. Wow. Oh, it actually looks like Boberg just put in a better lap, jumped up a couple tenths, a couple positions. Man, this is going to be real close, real tight. I can't wait.
Yeah, it sure is. Justin Negretti currently with an astonishing P3 amateur driver. Negretti really has improved. Well, seemingly was improving back at Hockenheim. He's really continued that trajectory up in 3rd position at the moment, well ahead of the next highest amateur driver, Dettenborn, who's in his first ever race, is the Brazilian, along with his teammate Velos. And currently, championship leader Thiago Mato only in 8th position, as more times being put in. They're all on circuit with one another. You can get a tow that could help you. And Torp and Larsen, once again, both improving. They are teammates for IGL Coatings, are those two, and they're edging closer to Olsen out in the lead at the moment. Rosenkrantz also improving up to 6th position, and the field is just getting closer and closer. Glamstetter crosses the line, and well, but one of the things that I mean you'll notice throughout the season, Tyler, is that these F3 cars, they don't really ever stop in qualifying. The drivers put some fuel in at the start of qualifying, and they just do lap after lap after lap. The tyres really don't degrade too much, and we get this awesome circumstance where every time you look back at the timing board, another personal best has been set.
I mean, honestly, it's really insane to see these guys go out here with the open qualifying. It's not easy to put your lap together, especially with other drivers. It's interesting, you can see there are a couple of guys here who are trying to line up a little bit of a run in the slipstream going down onto the front straight. That complex of 10, 11, and 12 is just so important. You can see the guys as they just lay into the throttle. I think you're right. I think they are going full flat through that section as they lead out onto the straight. As we could see here, looks like on the track map we've got a gaggle of guys actually coming through this section right now. I wonder if this will give anybody a nice advantage and a jump up in the leaderboard as we approach the last couple minutes here.
Oh, Torp and Larsen improved again. They've improved 3 consecutive laps. And they just keep getting like half a tenth faster each time, and Torp's now 0.5 of a tenth behind Torp. It's absolutely remarkable, but he's not quite close enough. He wasn't quite fast enough, and it's still Olsen with provisional pole with a minute in the session to go, and Torp is not going to be improving. Larsen is on his last lap. He does have time to complete this lap, Larsen, if he feels like he can improve. Veer moves up into 8th position. Not a great qualifying for him, as Thiago Mato, defending championship leader, moves up to 2nd place, and that is a very clutch lap there for the Team Chazoo driver, because he was further down the order, but that is a big time at a big moment. Still Torp. Torp in fact has gone back to the pit, so Torp is not going to be improving. Apologies, it's Larsen who's still got the potential, and Nicholas Rasmussen as well, as he rounds the final corner. You can see the draft that these drivers are picking up. The 107 behind it is Mats Gestrembacken, who could also be in for an improvement here, as they both race across the line. Neither improve, however, and it seems like Larsen is just approaching the line at the moment. No slipstream for him, and in fact he didn't reach the line in time, and so he cannot improve on that 4th position. What a qualifying session that was, and the drivers will start to grid up already. Tobias Olsen for Alcon Tech Simulations up on the front row alongside Thiago Marteau. Then it's Thomas Torp, Ketil Larsen, Michael Schlacks and Justin Negretti, those top 6 separated by 0.17. One of the closest qualifyings I've seen in road racing, really ever, honestly, on Apex Racing TV. There's Nicholas Rasmussen, Chris Rosenkrantz, Florian Beer, Mats Gestrembacken, Nathaniel Simpson, Alexandra Scarrett in 12th. Second place out of the amateurs is Philip Russell, then it's Sean Barnett and Chuck Maurer, and then it's the rest of the amateurs: Christian Glamsetter, Richard Boberg, Diogo Dettenborn, Andreas Helgerud, Angelo Velos, Chase Small, Tom Minot, Andrew Morris, Ricard Fasanello, Robin Choswell and Kim Wally Charney rounding out the order. A couple of drivers will be starting from the grid as well. I tell you, this one is really primed up very nicely. Olsen just about taking pole position, but honestly, the top 8 drivers were so close to one another. I can see them kind of forming a pack throughout this race, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. But what is really exciting for me is this is a dream scenario for drivers in qualifying, where you just keep setting faster and faster laps as you get to the end of the session. This means that everybody's on fire and they are ready to go. All these drivers hungry for some points today, good opportunities with the heat format. So, you know, as we're all lining up here, I'm going to be waiting with bated breath. That's to be sure.
For sure. Hopefully we get through these first few corners cleanly as well. Apparently in the official series it's been a bit chaotic. We've got 3 race starts to get through. This one should be the least chaotic, so hopefully everyone's well mannered and we get all 26 cars through the first few corners. So the lights are coming on, and it's Olsen for race 1 from the pole position. And we are away. Great start for Marteau. He's really going to be close to the pole sitter heading into turn 1. Larsen also just getting past Torp as well. But actually Olsen was able to get a good second stage of the start and able to take a normal racing line through turn 1. Marteau trying to hold on against Torp into 2. And the Dutch driver has been able to do that. The 2 Norwegians very close to one another, with Larsen in fact taking back that position from Torp and up into 3rd position as they try to break the draft through the couple of leaders. Good driving from most of the field, but this is where it can get very poor into the Honda hairpin. Drivers need to try to make sure that they hit the brakes at just the right point. Schlacks and Rasmussen side by side. Negretti with a little bit of a poor start as well, and we do have contact near the back that involves Small and Helgerud as well, I believe, as Larsen and Torp are still battling at it.
This is just an absolute nail-biter. You can see all those guys in the midfield from 11th to 15th. They were just side by side for the first several sections of this track. And that's a nail-biter even when you're out on your own. So the fact that they were able to keep it together with cold tires and make it through safely is just astounding to me. Really impressed by the showing of speed here.
Yeah, that was remarkable driving. Don't know how they all did it, and hopefully we get more of that in race 2 and race 3. There is Small a little bit away from the order, and Velos not taking the start along with Trustwell. I believe also Fasanello just turning back to the pits as some alternative lines there from Marteau. Maybe trying to get out of the job, I'm not quite sure. Larsen back ahead of Torp there. They are teammates. Our second and third. Oh, as we've got Rosenkrantz around, and is he going to rejoin the circuit unsafely? Fortunately, he finds a gap between the 2 drivers, but he's going to probably knock a wheel off the car there, and will have to take his fast repair. And Florian Beer has also had a problem. He's dropping down the order. There he is in the grab.
Misery on the lap 2. It's always frustrating when you can get a good start and you just can't hold it together, even if it's not a fault of your own. It's just okay. So taking a look here at the lapping chart, we're seeing a spread about maybe a tenth, maybe 2, even thousandths of a second separating all the drivers from 1 to 10th. We've got a fastest lap from 28.81 from Mr. Olsen, and Marteau following close behind at 29.16. Really intense. Top speeds are varying on the track. Very interesting to see. And even though we've got some drivers that are really, really struggling and unfortunately, being penalized by some of their decisions, we've got a lot of guys who are capitalizing on these opportunities.
that's a very good point, because when we visit this Phillip Island circuit, you can really go for high downforce for the long radius corners, or you can go for low downforce, because that final corner and the first corner are pretty much just extensions of this front straight. And so whenever you see the motorbike, so it's usually one of the best races of the season, because the draft effect is so strong through that down that pit straight. And of course, yeah, these guys flats out through the final corner as well, so adds about another 300 meters onto the flats out section. So yeah, we expect to see that that variance in straight line speed tonight, and that could really make a difference when it comes to the raceability of the cars, as Torp is under massive pressure from Rasmussen. Torp, who was able to, or who did start in 3rd position, he was overtaken by his teammate, and Rasmussen is now going to be able to move past. Well, that's a lovely move there from the Danish driver to move past. Schlax is going to try to go through as well. Schlax with some poor starts last time out at Hockenheim, but was electrifyingly quick come the races, and he is moving ahead of the Norwegian driver. However, Torp is able to come back. They are still side by side in these F3 cars. This is where they can really exhibit the amount of downforce that they can produce. Still, Torp is not giving up, and he stays ahead of Schlax, but with a lot of effort consumed. Now Schlax is going to be able to potentially come back at Torp, because Torp has lost the slipstream from the car ahead. And here he goes then, not really much of a defence. By the time they come out of the final corner, he is alongside. Look at Negretti as well, leader of the amateur drivers, trying to get in amongst these drivers as well. You get points for your overall position, so even the red marked drivers want to beat the green marked drivers if they possibly can. Schlax is able to get that move done on top, but he leaves the door open slightly, and Torp is able to come back again. Simpson in the background, just going past Negretti. That was a lovely move there from Simpson to take advantage of the slightly sluggish American driver on that occasion. And Schlax still having to work at this move to move up into the top 5. These guys have been alongside for the best part of an entire lap at this point, and there is no sign of it ending. This time it's the other way around to what it was in the last time. I think maybe Schlax will have a slightly better exit and might have a good chance of moving up into 5th position finally.
Climbing Charge is just absolutely lighting up. Fastest lap for Olsen with a 22 flat. We're just seeing everybody starting to heat up the tires and really starting to take advantage of the way that they're working into this.
Ooh, so to interrupt,
big crash.
Yeah, Simpson dropping back, and yeah, Torp as well being involved in that one. Not quite sure how that all started. I think there had been a self-spin which wiped out a couple of other drivers, and yeah, having to tow back to the pits as Torp.
And that is a rough break for Torp after dealing with that pressure so well.
And here was the instant. Oh wow, so it was just Torp losing it by himself, locking up the rears, and making contact with Simpson, who was just very unlucky. And interestingly, Negretti also picking up some contact. I'm not sure if Negretti will have damage from that one or not, but yeah, it looks as though it was just on the wheel. In fact, Mike Ababne, our producer, being able to load this one up, and we'll be able to see how much damage there was. You can see just absolutely no way to avoid, and there was a little bit of contact, but I don't think that front wing is still in shape, so not too bad for the amateur class leader.
Man, that is a real bummer. It is almost impossible to save a rear tire lockup. I mean, you are just a passenger at that point, so he's real lucky that he didn't collect anybody more than that, for sure.
Yeah, when the cars are so close to that, really anyone could have been involved in that incident, but yeah, fortunately they did well, as Dettenborn actually just getting past Simpson, so Simpson with that damage. Apologies, this is Minot and Morris. Apologies, Simpson a little bit further up the road, and Minot, who's in a couple of ARLCs, he is losing out there though to Morris, and they've got Florian Beer, who of course had that off into the gravel earlier on. We are nearly halfway through this race one of the evening. People just tuning in, people not familiar with the series. 3 15-minute races tonight with reverse grids for race 2 and race 3. So yeah, whilst this race 1 looks one way, this is really only the start. It can so easily go wrong for you in race 2 or race 3. That is where the really the points will be handed out, where you can get some big changes for the for everyone down the order, for the amateurs to get a big result and for the pros to get a poor result. Skerets has had quite a quiet round so far, and he is alongside Chuck Marrow at the moment, the American, and Marrow in that 8th position. Skerets not giving up though. Skerret's going to lose the car. Fortunately they avoid contact, but Skerret almost going off into the banking there, and down to 11th place after that.
And another guy breaking under pressure. Can't blame him though. This is such a tight field. I know that I would be sweating bullets right now, regardless of where you're at. But that means all the more fun, all the more experience for these guys. This is such a great championship to be here with, and it's amazing that Apex has the opportunity to provide such great format for racing and of such an awesome place for these drivers to really showcase their abilities.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, there's many other Apex Racing League events available as well on every day of the week, really. If you're based in Europe, there is a series for you, as Russell just moves past Barnet. We've got an exciting Formula V Championship starting on Monday. That is free entry, the first time we've ever done that on Apex Racing League. So it's a rookie car, and many free circuits as well. So certainly if you're new to iRacing, that is a brilliant championship to get involved in. Great fun car as well. Really, the race is going to be epic in that one, as Beer just moves past Morris, we just saw. And then of course we've got GT3s on Tuesdays. We've got Porsche action on Wednesdays. We've got NASCAR on Thursdays. We've got Super Trucks, Stadium Super Trucks on Fridays. We've got this F3 Championship on Saturdays, and of course GTE cars as well on Sundays. So do check out apexracingleague.com for more details. Also visit our Discord server as well. There is a link to it in the description below. Also now with a 1.8 second lead out in front, just edging out over Marteau. And these top 2 in the championship really setting up their stall already in these early rounds of the championship. And I mean, just underlying really your point from earlier on, Tyler, the gap between Olsen and Marteau on the most part has been less than a tenth of a second on each lap. Just showing how close these guys are, but Olsen just seems to have that little bit extra. It's an impressive performance so far.
Yeah, he's doing a really great job of just holding the tires together, taking pacing as we see Mauro try to make an offensive here against Negrit. Takes a long, wide outside line, trying to make the most use of all the air, get all the downforce on the nose, get some grip. It looks like he actually lost a little bit there, with a little bit of understeer and reaction there. He's going to follow close, tight behind, try to soak up right underneath it and maybe present himself, maybe look up the inside, and he decides to dive out and thinks better of it. Oh, he's attacking the corner real tight there. Looks like he almost had a glimpse of a pass, but unfortunately was not able to get the power down soon enough to take advantage.
Yeah, he's seemingly a bit faster though at the moment, is Mauro on that last lap. Well, actually, he lost time on that last lap, Mauro. Yeah, maybe these guys may be evening out, or maybe Mauro just getting a bit stuck. We've got Gestrin back and only just up the road. You can see him ahead there. Mauro might be feeling like he could maybe get a couple of positions by the end of the race as he forces his rival offline, and you can see how just on the apex there, the track's a little bit more cambered, and Mauro using that to his advantage. But bad news for Mauro, of course, Tyler, is that the draft is so strong around this part of the circuit, it allows Negretti to come back.
And then it's just so exciting getting all the grip through the corner regardless of line. These F3 cars just sticking to the road as they barrel down into the first corner. Looks like Mauro is having to take the rear and trying to dive up the inside, swapping to the outside. Same line, same competition as last time. Let's see if he can hold it together. Stays in just a little bit earlier than before. Looks like he was able to take more use of the cambered profile of the road. He's going to have a much better run this time going in. He's going to present himself and I think try to force a mistake. Let's see. Oh, yep, he goes wide and isn't able to put the power down in order to stay right behind his bumper. It looks like Negrit is going to be able to breathe a little lighter here for the next couple corners before he's going to have to defend again.
this is a very narrow circuit, but they're finding pieces. They're using all the time that got them out. So many different lines trying to get out of that turbulent air. And yeah, it's absolutely incredible to see, as that was Boberg and Scarrett. So Scarrett just returning that position then. So Scarrett, who had that spin, he was fighting, I think, with Maro actually earlier on. Fortunately made a mistake. And so he dropped down the order as Charney is going to hit the wall. Well, that is a big effort there, because much further than that and you're going to be having a drink in the sea. But somehow that FP car still got all 4 corners on it, and he'll try to finish the race. Boberg coming, in fact he cross drop behind Scarrett, and now Detzenborn is trying to do the same thing. Look how slow Scarrett is just ahead. These guys gaining huge amounts of time by the end of the pit straight, but seeing that they're too wide, they aren't really being able to make much of an impression on that car ahead. Detzenborn driving it deep around the outside. He's right on the perimeter of the circuit there, and Boberg holds on.
Man, going tire to tire, wheel to wheel, holding it in and there's contact. Oh, and he's able to collect it, maybe? No, oh, he goes off track. Man, really tight racing. Man, I would say that looked like a racing incident to me, Sam, but that was really close.
Well, you were saying just before how it was wheel to wheel, and that was wheel into wheel eventually between the two of them, neither wanting to give an inch. And well, it's even before the corner even starts, isn't it? And one driver thinking that the other's going to turn in a different time. Fortunately, we've got such big gravel chaps here at Phillip Island that most of the time they can get away with incidents like that. But wow, that was yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Final lap of the race. We're just going to be short of an extra lap, so it will just be 11 laps in this race, another 10 seconds, and we could have maybe forced a 12. That's all good news for Tobias Olsen, because he's out in the lead. I believe he's got 0 incidents as well, which will be a bonus point, which is always helpful. I believe it's about 50 points for a race win, so bonus point not contributing too much, but honestly, with such a tight field, the drivers will take it when they can. Morris back ahead of Minot. Now these guys have been battling with each other every single lap of the race, and Morris takes the upper hand on the last lap of the event.
A close battle, Minot not giving up quite yet. Trying to hold tight, but having patience. And he waits, there's the mistake. Oh, and he's not able to react in time and goes off track. It looks like he maybe lost a front wing as well. Rough break for Minot, just trying to stay in there, and unfortunately not able to avoid a loss of grip by the offending driver. A real bummer, considering how well those two were fighting going into that corner.
Yeah, this was yeah, just an unfortunate one here for Minot. Really could do nothing about this one. And it's only a 15-minute race, so it's not really going to be the tyres necessarily, but lots of debris flying. As out in the lead, Tobias Olsen is going to take his second race win of the season. There he is. He manages to take it ahead of Marte and Larsen and Rasmussen. Schlacks and Gestenbacher round out the top 6, and that means that it will be Mats Gestenbacher starting on pole position for race 2. Big performance from him there, that 6th position, very coveted in this new format for this season of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. And well, here was Tobias Olsen crossing the line just a moment ago. But yeah, from what you saw in that race 1, Tyler, how do you rate the opportunities for maybe Olsen to win once again in race 2? Because he's going to be starting in 6th position for race 2. Do you think he's going to be able to get his way back up to the front?
You know, it's going to be hard to say. We didn't really have to see him deal much with any sort of opposition as far as wheel-to-wheel combat. So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts when he does have to go into battle, instead of just holding off, you know, the rest at a distance. That consistency is much easier to do when you're out in front, and if you've got the right mindset, you can hold that for hours. Now, when you're having to be pressured to move forward through the pack, and others are going to be defending wildly because they are, you know, best set up for great success going further into the following rounds, they're going to want to hold on to that position, and so they're not just going to give it to him. So it'll be really interesting to see how he deals with that traffic. Now, as much as we know that race cars are some of the most difficult things in the world to manage and to make go, they're even harder to stop, and even harder to, you know, use your your own sense of, withholding and making sure that you don't step out of line and risk too much and ruin somebody else's race. So it's going to be key to be measured and to make sure that you don't push too hard while being able to, not bridle your tenacity too much, that, it results in a lower place than, what's desired.
Definitely, and yeah, around this circuit, I think that's the case more than any other, honestly. So many risks around every corner, and we're about to get a hell of a lot more of them in this race too. Green flag out again. Gestenbakken from the pole position. Is Schlax able to attack him heading into 2-1? The gap between the two of them is very close, but they're all close. Rasmussen with a good draft behind Larson as well, with a good run potentially heading into turn 2. Gestenbakken still with his nose ahead, but Schlax with the inside line into turn 2. Is he able to scythe his way up the inside? He is not. Rasmussen almost being run out of road there by Schlax on the inside. And look at Larson as well, trying to make it 3 wide up the inside. Gestenbakken is in an excellent position, just needs to try to get his car into the middle of the circuit, which he is making a beeline for to cover off any attack from just behind. The 171 down the inside, but fortunately just got on the brakes early enough to avoid any contact. So it's Gestenbakken leading Schlax. Remarkably, the top 4 did not change order. Olsen past Martey, and outside of the top and in the top 10, they're the only changes as Schlax now gets up the inside of Gestenbakken and does take the lead of the race. It's Schlax, Gestenbakken, Olsen gains 3 places all of a sudden. That was a very chaotic couple of corners, and it's really put the cat amongst the pigeons, but it's the Italian leading after half a lap.
Olsen really showing the wisdom and patience of an experienced driver, taking his time and waiting for the right moment to get by, trying to make sure that he keeps his nose clean, and Marteau following him closely by, trying to make sure that Olsen doesn't get away. They're going to be doing their best to make sure that they're just going to try to put down some laps and separate them from the gaggle of everybody else, so that way they can focus on taking these last 2 positions and battling it out from there. I believe that both of these drivers are going to be willing to work together, especially given the experience and patience that we just saw as they were battling through the rear of the front pack.
Yeah, let's see if that does come true, whether they are willing to work together or whether we see some elbows up racing in the early stages. But I was oh wow, we got a car rolling. That's Boberg. He'd be decapitated if that was real life. Look at that. Heading off into once again the seat. Never gets sold that, Jake, because we're on an island. Schlax is holding on to the lead from Gestenbakken. You've got an excellent draft down the pit straight. I was just looking back actually at the replay from lap 1. I think he saw it straight away, Tyler. Gestenbakken with the big slide through the corner that we just went through, and that really just held up everyone else, and it was a great opportunity for Olsen, who was on the inside, to kind of luckily get through a couple of extra cars who he wasn't really particularly close to beforehand. Olsen trying to make up another place. Look at Marteau, he's super close just behind top 2 in the championship in 3rd and 4th. And there really is not a break down the entire field until we get down to 9th position. As we start the chase once again, flats out through the final corner, and anyone's game who's going to be out in front come turn 2 on this lap.
This is just a battle of mind and strength. Regardless of what kind of equipment you're using, these Formula cars have so much feedback, and they can sometimes be really brutal, especially when you just happen to nick that wrong piece of pavement that is just a little bit different than what you practiced. These guys are reacting so well as somebody goes off track. It was Marteau. Marteau is off because he tries to rejoin in a really dangerous part of the track. Olsen now having the advantage, only 4/10 behind just Strumbakken. I'm sorry if I brutalized your name. It's just, this is so intense. Schlax defending hard as he can hear Olsen breathing down his neck.
That's a very unusual mistake there from Thiago Martey, and we were talking about it before the broadcast even started. Our producer, Marco Balbiniers, I think Small, Velos and Morris have had a bit of a collision at the Honda hairpin. But we were talking about how last season Martey didn't have to deal with the reverse grids. There was no reverse grids involved. It was, race 1 results set the race 2 grid, and there wasn't really anything like this dynamic to contend with. Well, Martey has got to contend with it this season. He dealt with it brilliantly at Hockenheim, but he's made the first mistake out of the front runners in this race 2, and he drops down to 11th place. Remarkably, only 5.6 seconds off the lead, which really does just show how close everyone is. So Schlax leads once again. Olsen seemingly has the pace on these two. He hasn't been able to make much of an impression so far, but this time he is able to get alongside Gestenbakken. who has the inside for turn 2, but we've seen the outside line so strong around all of these corners. Gestrian back in again, holds on, and Schlack's really not getting any respite because that gap occasionally goes up to half a second, but before he knows it, he's got 2 cars right on his turn.
Keeping my eye on the timing board here, the battle between Mauro and Negrit is still ongoing in race 2, carried over from race 1. These guys are so close. There's only 2/10 separating the two of them after swapping spots once. It's a battle in the midfield, a battle in the back, and a battle in the front. I'm really excited to see what happens when Marteau makes his way up to these guys. I'm sure he will. It's just a matter of time as long as he can hold it together. He kept that car clean. And with that addition to the mix, it's going to be one spicy meal.
Absolutely, yeah. It's can Marteau get past all these drivers? Well, he's got past Clamsetter whilst we're talking about him, actually. So that's another place for the Team Shizuka as someone locks up just ahead. Just as well as you were talking there, Ty, we saw Olsen get past Gestrian and Rasmussen also gets past Gestrian as well. So now it's Alcontech Simulations 2-3. Excellent work from them guys, and IGL Coatings in 4th and 5th. Those two teams had an amazing battle in race 2 at Hockenheim. We expect that to continue as we see the mistake from Gestrian, and so he lost 2nd place at Honda Hairpin, but he's lost 3rd position at the penultimate corner right there. So yeah, Gestrian down to 4th position, still 1.2 seconds off the lead. Glamsetzer is off the circuit. We've seen plenty of drivers off at turn 2 so far, and the Norwegian joins that collection. As we cut back to the front again, Rasmussen having to defend from Gestrian. Top 5, all still fairly close, and then there's a gap back to Mary, who, as you were saying before, Ty, just him and Negretti seem to be glued together tonight.
Yeah, and they seem to be becoming close friends or even closer enemies, I would assume, as they're battling for the field here. It's right now a war of attrition. Who can stay out in front? As he puts a wheel off, that's going to be hard, damaging going over the hill. He's going to have a little bit of wheel spin to contend with. You can see Negret is really, really hungry. He's waiting, and he's going to be ready to strike here as he gets really great power down on the exit of that corner, full throttle section going out onto the front straight. You can see here Philip Russell going wheel to wheel with Simpson. It's going to turn into a 3-way battle, almost 4-way going into the turn 1 as we see Philip Russell.
Oh my God.
What a run!
Oh, hold your breath, everyone. They had to breathe in to make it through that gap. That was remarkable. Simpson drops back, but honestly, that we had 4 wide for a moment around Phillip. I mean, this isn't Sepang. You know, it's not as though you can stack 10 cars alongside one another. This is Phillip Island, and they're still going 4 wide. Remarkable stuff there. I think it was Beer who gained a bunch of or Dettenborn who gained all of those places. Crazy stuff, as this is getting crazy as well. Maybe you're getting a bit personal as well between Negretti and Mario. This is Mario seemingly just ahead of Negretti. Sean Barnett, who we haven't really talked about so far tonight, he's up there in 8th place and within the reverse grid places. Thiago Mato, after that off earlier on, is chasing them down in 9th. So you're right on board with Barnett. You can see the elevation change here at the Phillip Island circuit, and oh no, well, that's a rear wing loss for Morris. He's going to have to pick up his faster pair, and Velos is off once again. Wow, a lot happening.
And that is a real bummer. I really want to quickly say hats off to Simpson back there in that, 4 wide into turn 1, taking the runoff, real respectful way to leave the space, and kind of just sacrifice your own race for the betterment of the race itself. So really respectful driving there from him. We see here, these guys are just doing their best to make use of the last 6 or 7 minutes here. Marteau starting to smell Mauro's rear wing as we see a mistake from another driver from Team Motivated Racing. Mr. Helgerud here, 238, may have just asked for a little too much from his car, as carrying too much speed, the rear was unable to hold the tires to the pavement.
Yeah, slow speed corner there, and of course you're turning right, and then before you know it, you're having to turn into a left-hand turn. Yeah, that's the slippery grass, which is often a foe of the drives here at Phillip Island, and well, he's yeah, off into nowhere. Honestly, right there is Helgood. Not a good race 2 for him. Top 10 get reversed, of course, for race 3. So as long as you're in the top 10, you do get within the reverse grid, and it would currently be Florian Beer who would take reverse grid pole. His brother, Matthias Beer, once deliberately dropped back at Donington last season in the Apex Racing League GT Championship in order to get the reverse. That was a reverse of 26, nowhere near as big as this one. But right now Beer is doing that all authentically. Wow, that's a back marker in the way of Rasmussen as he gets back past Gestenbakken once again, and he's really being held up at the moment by the 244 car. That was Andrew Morris who was having to let the drivers pass there, who's already had an incident at that turn 2 back in race 1. Is Morris going to let these cars go? No, he's trying to almost attack Rasmussen, heading into the Honda hairpin. Well, Rasmussen gets past, and actually he'll be able to pull away slightly there. But Morris making quite a meal of that.
As you said, you know, maybe a strategy here would be to stay back. Do you think that Marteau maybe holds his position in 8th and just kind of bides his time for a P3 start in the next race?
I think that's very possible, because you think the gaps between the positions for first and second and third much larger than the points difference between say 8th, 9th and 10th. So yeah, you may not want to gain any more places as we see what happened there to Scarrett. He's had an awful day, spin in race 1 and an off on that occasion. This is getting very close all of a sudden. Wow, Schlack's apologies. So Olsen took the lead off Schlack's. I think we may have missed that one. So big apologies for missing that one a couple of laps ago, I think. But yeah, Olsen leading the way, and Schlack's though coming back at him.
Not giving up, only 2/10 behind. It'd be really tight. I think he needs to kind of bide his time a little bit and just hold on to his coattails, knowing how fast Olsen is, and wait for the right moment to strike. It's going to take a lot of patience here. As we can see, he actually has a run. He's likely going to see a defensive action from Olsen as we see Olsen move up the inside. Schlack's trying to take the long way around, late apex here to try to get a better run off the corner. I think that was a poor decision given the nature of this hairpin, and how slow it is. It's just a throwaway corner. So he's really going to need to dig in and put his nose to the grindstone and focus on getting consistent corners without losing the car.
Yeah, he's it was interesting that he wasn't particularly aggressive heading into that. Maybe a slight lift before he started to break as Barnett and Beer having quite a good battle. And these two battling, of course, will invite Nicholas Rasmussen to the battle, who lost a lot of time on that last lap to Rasmussen, I think dealing with the back marker of Morris. But he's only 2 seconds back, and these top guys, I think, will lose some time to him on this time round, as we see that the toe once again, Olsen trying to break the draft, but there's only really so much that you can do. He'll try to make a couple of extra corners down that front stretch, and look at the overspeed. Schlack's though not going for the move, so that's quite a confidence move, I think, there, Tyler. That indicates that he's willing to wait till the last lap to pull the trigger.
Yeah, that's in my mind, that's kind of a shot over the bow in a way, right? Because what you're doing is you're saying, hey, here I am, muscling, almost flexing a little bit. I can hold it and be right in your rear mirror, and I'm not leaving you alone. Being within 2/10, 3/10 of Olsen for now multiple laps in a row, that's intimidation. Schlack's he might be a shark. He might be a secret shark here waiting and just waiting for the right moment to strike.
Well, I've said it a few times, but there is a sea nearby. That's the only thing I know about Phillip Island, is that you can see the sea in the background, and the sea has sharks in it. So I will draw that that connection right there, happily. Yeah. He'll be fishing for a win. Oh dear, that's really not good. Not good commentary there. Barnett staying ahead of Torp, but of course Torp having an awful race 1, and he's up into 10th place, and that would be reverse good pole for Thomas Torp if it ended like this. As we are moving on to the last lap of the race, the pace in this race, I think, has been even stronger than it was in race 1, or maybe very similar, which is impressive, considering that Olsen's had to make his way through the order. But if Schlack's is going to win this race, he's got to overtake now. Olsen with a little bit more of a gap this time, but Schlack's is going to be in with a great chance. He goes to the outside into turn 2, and probably just going to position his car perfectly for the run heading into Honda hairpin, where he's already come close a couple of times. Maybe running slightly wide there is Olsen. He's sliding all over the place, but he's got track position, and I think you'd much rather be where he is with the corners that are remaining. Again, Schlack's getting alongside. He even gets his nose ahead for a momentary second, but also is putting his car into all the right places, and that is the main attack defended, it seems.
Yeah, he needs to pick another place to make this attack. It's going to take just the penultimate moment before, a corner, I think, in my mind. He needs to slide up on the outside and just get a better run out of the corner, or really muscle his way in on the inside and force Olsen to take a different line and maybe run him out here on the final corner. As we see him stick his nose in, and he decides better of it. Olsen locks up, trying to hold him off. We'll see if Schlax is able to put the power down through the final section of corners and make use of this final run, as Olsen is braking, weaving to try to avoid that slipstream. Is it going to hurt him? Is it going to help him as they come down, barreling to the final stretch? And it is Olsen, looks like, who takes the victory. Such a close race, 6/100ths of a second separating Olsen and Schlax. Wow, that was an absolute nail-biter. We've got Negretti leading Morrow, Marteau, Torp, Beer, Barnett. Looks like Beer is going to be on the pole for race 3. Final guys coming around the corner. Dettenborn leading and the back of the pack in 15th. Separated by Russell, Rosenkrantz, Small, Fasanello, Simpson, and then Helgerud, Boberg, Chani, and Morrison Velos in the pits.
Wow, what an enthralling race there, and Schlax nearly got the run at the line. How many times we've seen that in motorbikes around this circuit, where riders have been able to pass right before the line with the, of course, long run to it around this circuit. But Olsen was able to hold on, and also I think I saw Beer managing to get 8th position. Apologies, it wasn't Beer, Torp passing Beer for 9th position right at the close, a couple of hundreds separating those two drivers. We're going to show you a quick advert in just a moment for one of the sponsors in this Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School series, but we'll be right back with you on Apex Racing TV in just a moment.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 VRS Super Series, where we are having an absolute barnstormer of an evening of racing. A couple of exceptional performances from drivers, particularly Tobias Olsen, who has got 2 wins out of 2 so far tonight. He got it by 0.5 of a second over Michael Schlaxi. Those two made an extra 5 corners for each other in the closing stages, with Olsen trying to break the draft, and he just about did enough to win that race for his 3rd race win out of 4 this season, and the championship lead as well now goes to him. Nicholas Rasmussen was in 3rd position, but yeah, the top 10 gets reversed, so Florian Beer will be on pole position for race 2, only 10 seconds off the lead, really not too far off. And Key Thiago Marte, interestingly, up there in 8th place, and Thomas Torp as well, who hasn't really been able to show his performance tonight so far. Those two will be starting in 2nd and 3rd, so it'll be a fascinating race 2 to come. You're just watching a trailer from Virtual Racing School, one of the sponsors for this championship. A massive thanks to them for supporting the series and supporting Apex Racing TV generally as well. Virtual Racing School with over 50 data packs for road and oval racing, and those data packs include setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. The data analysis software in particular is absolutely pivotal if you're going to improve your performance. Some fantastic telemetry, and especially if you book a one-on-one coaching session with one of the pros over at Virtual Racing School, they can really delve into the data and identify exactly what you need to do in order to improve your iRacing performance. So do check out Virtual Racing School. There is a link to them in the description below if you want to get faster on iRacing. Just a minute to go of warm-up, Tyler, until we get into race 3. It was a pretty remarkable performance so far that we've seen from Tobias Olsen to win both races tonight. I'm not really sure what to expect from this race 3, because it's a slightly bigger reverse, and I guess with Torp and Marteau near the front, would you say Torp and Marteau are maybe the favourites for this race 3, or do you think Olsen will be able to make his way up through the order once again?
You know, it's really hard to say. I think that we're going to be surprised, regardless of how what I predict. Because to be honest, like with how tight the field is, and with how great and consistent and these drivers have been, and how respectful they've been, it's going to be it's going to be tight. It's going to be a toss-up. I really do think that we'll see a solid performance out of Olsen. I think he's proven from race 1 to race 2 that he's definitely going to be able to fight through the pack. What I think is going to be the spicy bit is that battle between Negretti and Mauro is still heating up in the middle, and so they aren't going to be quiet in this race by any means. And I think that's going to shake some things up, especially here on lap 1, given that Olsen's going to have to make his way through those guys again. And Marteau, we saw last race, he got hung up and actually ended up behind them by the end of that last lap, whether it be by choice or by combat. Either way, he's now starting ahead of those guys, and so he's going to have the advantage of not necessarily getting caught up with them. He gets to focus on Torp and Beer and just try to get the lead.
Yeah, all eyes ahead for Marteau, not worrying about what's behind. Beer and Torp will be tricky to battle with. But he really could do with a race win. So many more rounds of this championship to go. There's only round 2 of the season, 8 meetings across the season, but really we have had an absolute stunning start. Last season was good fun, and the seasons before that, honestly, but this championship so far, season 4 of this F3 championship hosted by Apex Racing League, has really taken things to another level. Hopefully we get a clean start. We've had a couple of exceptional starts. If we got a crash in this one, honestly, I think it'd still be a good effort from the drivers across the night, but hopefully they all do get through cleanly. It is Florian Beer from the pole position ahead of Thomas Torp, and for the final time we are away here at Phillip Island. It's not a great start for Beer. I think it was actually a fairly good start for Marteau from 3rd position, but he can't do a whole lot with it because he's getting sandwiched on the inside. Torp trying to make an impression round the outside. In fact, it was an awesome start for Chuck Mauro. He's been able to move up to 2nd place, not what we expected whatsoever, and it's now Beer Mauro Murray top 2. Terrible start for Torp to drop down to 4th position from the front row of the grid. Poor start as well for Kettle Larsen. So yeah, not great for a few of the drivers, but Marteau already responding, getting the inside line for Honda hairpin, and it should be a fairly simple move by the time he gets onto the brake. So he moves up into 2nd place. Negretti with a good start, he's up into 4th, and Thomas Torp continues to fall down the order as we've got a big pile up further down the order. Several drivers, mainly pro drivers, along with a couple of amateurs as well, getting damaged there, and well, their races cut short. They'll need to go back to the pits and get a faster lap.
Garrett's bad luck just continues getting caught up in that as well. You know, I as I predicted, my prediction was wrong in a really funny way. Both Morrow and Negretti doing a good job of making sure that Marteau does not forget about them. Really holding into it there, as Olsen is still in 9th place, stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to get past Gestrobakken. Finally does. Around the outside there, really tight battle going into turn 1. We can see here Negretti going on the inside, claiming some road, trying to hold it and set up for the following corner. Taking this outside line sets him up for the inside of the following corner. We got a gaggle of guys, 5 cars, real close battle. Torp edging out in front, led by Rasmussen only by half a second. So as soon as these guys can clean out, it's going to be a tight train entering into the following track.
Beer having to go defensive already against Marteau. I think Beer's understeered slightly there, but they avoid contact. Now Marteau has the better exit, and this is probably upper hand to him at the moment. Through the banked left-hander, Beer might have the better exit, but Marteau had the much shorter line there. Still, Maro is really driving superbly right now to be so close to these drivers, and Beer is moving ahead once again. Again though, if Marteau can, yeah, Marteau is able to pull ahead this time, so he has got the race lead, does the Dutch driver, and looking for his 1st race win of the evening, 2nd race win of the season. A bit of a lock-up for him, but he should have the pace now to pull away as long as he survives the onslaught down the pit straight this time round. But that gap is coming back down, and Florian Beer is storming along, and he's going to try to come back into the lead.
Mauro, he is hungry. Sniffing up behind Marteau, gets an advantage on Beer, slides up the inside, goes off just a little bit, and oh, he is able to take the lead as Marteau has to run off the track just a little bit to hold on to 2nd place, taking wide outside line. Excellent move from Mr. Morrow, the 190, the American, making the best opportunity, making the most of that situation there by getting that double slipstream and then taking advantage of the fight between Marteau and Beer. He's just going to have to hold it together as he locks up, pushing that car to the limit. He's able to get the power down without having to run out the track all the way. He just needs to hold it together for a couple more corners here so he can breathe, as we see Beer not giving up on Marteau, only 3/10 separating the two of them, really putting down consistent and good laps, giving Marteau a run for his money. This is turning up to be an absolute heater.
Look how close Rasmussen and Torp are now to these drivers, as a back marker is well off the circuit just ahead. But Torp, even Olsen and Schlacks, maybe even Larsen and Negretti could get involved in this one. The top 11 separated by 4.4 seconds, and I think they're going to all come together a little bit like an accordion effect by the end of this front stretch. So once again, the chase starts, and I'm sure Marteau was not expecting to see Mauro ahead of him as we start lap 4 of this race. Beer with a phenomenal run. Marteau's going to try to take the lead back again. Mauro covers the inside line for turn 1, but that is the outside line for turn 2. Beer with a lot of understeer through turn 1, but he hung on to that Dallara F3 car and takes 2nd position. That was super high speed, offline as well, as the marbles have been building up all race long, but Beer was able to pull it off. So Mauro from 1st position down into 3rd, but he's trying to come back into 2nd again. Rasmussen just nipping up the inside as well. Even Marteau wasn't totally safe heading into Honda because of the slipstream effect being quite so strong. Mauro was able to hold on to 3rd position against Rasmussen, but these top 5 are absolutely nose to tail.
Yeah, Rasmussen definitely got his hat in the ring there as he gets a pass on Morrow, getting the advantage heading into this following corner. We see, oh, big accident! Oh my god, is that Morrow, Rasmussen, and who else is that? Is that Torp?
Yeah.
Oh, that is absolute disaster for those guys. Major bummer. Excellent driving from all of them as we see exactly what happened there. Wheel to wheel. It looks like we got Rasmus and Mauro going next to each other. Somebody lock up. Oh, accidental last late move there from Mauro takes Rasmussen out. I don't think that was intentional, but when you get that close, you are sometimes asking for disaster, especially in a high-speed corner like the one they were in.
Well, I can't remember who it was between, but we saw a very similar incident earlier on where you got one driver feeling like he needs to turn in at one point and another driver not turning in necessarily, and you have incidents like that, and that is a shame because those guys are bouncing so well. Chuck Maurer with by far the best performance I've ever seen him produce. Remarkably, he's the one who managed to survive through all of that. He's still in 10th place, but I imagine with some damage. So it's left 2 out in the lead, and Marteau is not having his own way. That Honda hairpin, a couple of times in a row now, he's gone wide, and he keeps on locking up as well into the other hairpin. So into past the corner at Lucky Heights. So yeah, Marteau not having it all his own way, and Olsen is only 1.8 seconds off the lead. And with nearly 10 minutes to go, that is a chance to come back as Scoret and Mauro collide. And well, that's Scoret's 4th incident, I think, tonight. I don't think really any of them have been his fault. And Mauro, after leading just a couple of minutes ago, drops all the way to 17th.
Yeah, I'm sure he's trying to shake off some anger there after what just happened, regardless of who's at fault. It's always frustrating when you get caught up in an accident, especially when it was such a, a great battle. It's, disappointing on all fronts, not just from a result, but from a competition standpoint. As we see Beer with a run on Marteau going up the inside, they're going to go side by side into turn 1. It's going to be a contest of who can maintain the most momentum going into the corner. He's going to have to hold a wide line around the outside and try to put down the power early. We'll see if he decides to go for the over-under. Placement of the car from Beer has been just absolutely spectacular tonight, as we've seen him always running about half a car width off the other car, making sure that he can make the most use of that wind coming off, the rear. Even if it's turbulent, something on the outside of that wing will help keep that right front planted and power down, as we see another couple drivers going wheel to wheel out of turn 6 there, I think that was, as they were running back up into the hairpin. Such a close battle from everybody, as we see Negretti leading out of all the amateurs, battling, going wheel to wheel with a lot of the pros tonight. He's really shown to do very well and very consistent, even though he wasn't up front with Mauro. Regardless, it's still Negretti in the race.
Yeah, so one not to crash since Mauro went off, because yeah, they have had a magnet with those two tonight, but Negretti's still in the race. Only 1 place ahead of Detzenborn in his first ever Apex Racing League event, but looks like it could be 3 wins for Negretti in that amateur category tonight. As here comes Florian Beer back at Key Thiago Marteau, and Marteau cannot shake him off at the moment, as you see Olsen and Schlacks both faster on that last lap. Not a whole lot faster, only a couple of tenths to a second, which isn't that much considering how much these top 2 are battling with one another. But if they keep catching like that, it is going to be very close by the end of the race, as Marteau is able to respond. But really, this is all just about positioning, because neither seem to have the pace advantage to break the draft to one another. And look at Schlacks, wow. Schlacks performing as he was back at Hockenheim. He was so quick at Hockenheim, but seems to come second best in most of his wheel-to-wheel battles. Had a poor qualifying as well for race 1, but he is storming along, and he passes Olsen, who of course has won both races so far tonight. So that is a huge effort there from the Italian driver. And I will just give a quick shout out as well to the SDK Gaming for sponsoring this broadcast and providing our amazing overlay. SDK Gaming providing live timing, the overlay that you can see up on screen, along with a fantastic driver HUD as well for whilst you are racing. Do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk. There's a link in the description below to get yourself a 14-day free trial. So Schlacks making that move stick then. I think that battle in between Schlacks and Olsen, Tyler, has kind of dropped them off the back of Marteau and Beer.
I'm sure Olsen is feeling a little frustrated, but at the same time, this battle between him and Schlacks has been tight for 2 races in a row now, so he shouldn't be surprised. As Beer, is constantly knocking on Marteau's door, Olsen and Schlacks are having an argument over who should be leading the 2 of them in order to catch up to 1 and 2. I know that that's what they're thinking, as far as let me catch up to the guys in front, leave me alone. But that's kind of hard to do when you're both on the same pace and both trying for that first place spot.
definitely. And when you're behind, you feel like you're faster. You've got the slipstream, you can overtake, and then once you're ahead, you're a sitting duck, and it's really difficult. You've got to concede sometimes, even if you know that you're faster than the driver ahead. Sometimes it's best just to wait behind so you don't waste time fighting. If they weren't fighting, I think they would probably be 4 tenths, 5 tenths further up the road. Actually, Kittel Larsen, he had a very poor start. Actually, did Larsen started in 9th place, dropped down to started 7th, sorry, dropped to 9th on lap 1, I believe. He's nearly caught back up to them, so really strong pace for Larsen in this race 3. And yeah, he was pretty much fastest of anyone on that last 12 round. As we drop back slightly to Scarrett. Oh wow, what's that contact? I'm not sure with Barnett, but he's 11th, and according to Marco Barbani, our producer, that was contact between the two of them. I'm surprised, Tyler, that wasn't a helicopter crash.
Yeah, especially given Scarrett's luck tonight. I'm really surprised that didn't turn into a bigger accident. If I was him, and just kind of knowing what kind of luck I'd had, I wouldn't be playing with fire, as we see Marteau and Beer continuing to trade positions. Olsen and Schlack's definitely losing time to the front too. I would probably guess something around maybe 2 tenths a lap. It's coming down to the final couple minutes here. It's going to take a lot of experience to try to withhold that desire to send it up the inside. As we see Marteau is just cracking underneath the pressure, just the slightest bit, locking up into the last hairpin there. It's going to be really, really intense for these guys coming into these final couple minutes. With such great battles, everybody is going to want to claim to be the best, regardless of what portion of this race you're in. With Negretti leading Dettenborn by only a second, and Glamstetter a couple seconds behind him. This is just intensely close, regardless of what part of the field you're racing in.
Yeah, it's apologies if we haven't shown too many of the battles for drivers further down the order. We know everyone likes to have their battles shown on screen, but of course we have to give priority to the lead battle when it's quite as close as this one. And of course has been going on for the entire race as Beer. I think way closer this time, but he backs out of it. He didn't want to overtake that time. Maybe being like, wasn't worth the risk, wasn't worth even taking the position. Maybe wants to be behind going into the last lap, because they are now onto the penultimate lap. Negretti coming back, gets Gestrum back, which is very impressive stuff from Negretti. Dettenborn just losing a bit of time to them in the last few laps, but with that side-by-side action through turn 2, and of course into the Honda hairpin as well and staying in the corner, I think they are going to be side by side a bit more, and probably losing each other even more time. Off the circuit goes Negretti. Was it worth the risk to try to get past Gestrin back? And perhaps it was, but he is a long way off the circuit, and he drops down to 3rd position out of the AMS. Dettenborn, in his first ever Apex Racing League event, is on for a race win.
You know, when Honda sponsored a corner on this track, I don't think they intended it to be for lawnmowers. Really unfortunate to see cars have to make a mistake and run off track that way, but it's the only way you can keep the car clean. And it's what you got to do in order to make it through the race. Negretti still has a couple positions that he could possibly make up here if he can put the pressure down and get Dettenborn and Glamstetter to make mistakes. But it's going to take a lot of consistency and just holding it together, especially after making to me it looked like just a quick loss of focus, and that's all it takes to lose it in these cars.
Maybe a loss of focus as well for Mateus, for Florian Beer, because he's down 7 tenths of a second behind Marteau, who has finally been able to break the draft of mistakes seemingly from Beer, and that has enabled the Dutch driver to scamper away. Schlacks, I think just moving past Olsen, I believe that was us. Oh wow, look at Scarrett again. Get away from that man, because I'm not saying Scarrett is, I don't think any of them have been Scarrett's fault generally, but he has been involved in plenty of issues, or maybe we've just managed to catch them all on TV. But he is once again battling with Barnett, who's kind of dropping back into these guys, and Morris as well on the outside. What can Scarrett do? Are any of them going to make the corner? One of them is Morris is off the circuit, and he might, if he's not careful, drop behind Helgood, but he just about had enough speed. But out in the lead, 9 tenths of a second is the gap between Marteau and Beer. Marteau is going to be safe here. He's going to get his first race win of the evening, and that's exactly what he needed. The championship lead between himself and Olsen is going to be minimal after this round of the season, because it has been an absolute amazing battle. Marteau is going to be able to take his second race win of the season as the checkered flag is waved at Phillip Island. and the Team Shazoo driver, the 122, wins once again. Schlax was able to hold off Olsen right at the end, make some shapes. Those two with a classic battle in both race 2 and race 3, and in the end it was 1 win apiece between the two of them. Detzenborn wins in the amateur category, and who's going to win out of Barnett and Scorette? That was nothing, 2/100ths of a second in favour of Sean Barnett at the line for 7th and 8th in the pros, 10th and 11th overall. Well, I can honestly say, Tyler, I mean, we've got quite a few different broadcasts between the two of us. I mean, you're on only your second one, I believe, and I'm on probably my 700th or something. But honestly, that's one of the best races I can recall on Apex Racing TV. Every race, the driving was absolutely phenomenal, and every race we had a photo finish.
Agreed. And while I haven't commentated on that many races, I have many hours in the seat, both in real life as well as in sim. And it's rare that you get such a great, respectful, and close battle across the field. Of course, there were a couple of incidents that occurred, but honestly, I think it was just a result of that really, really hard and nail-biting racing that we got to witness. It's so exciting to see so many passionate individuals in the grassroots form of motorsports like sim racing here, showing their talents and really putting it all on the line, but still trying to hold true to some of those, respectful values that make motorsport, really what it is, chess at 140 miles an hour. And that makes the value of the sport just so much more, having everyone on the same page and create just such a spectacle. Really such a pleasure to get to see these drivers put it all on the line here today. Now, I will say this, if I'm Beer, I'm definitely going to be looking at that VRS data, using that telemetry and seeing what it was that had Marteau just be a, one toe in front of him. Just barely keeping him away and just trying to put down that consistency. Marteau just had just such a great performance, but Beer not letting him get away at all. Followed by Schlax in 3rd, Olsen 4th, Larson 5th, Gestruckenbakken in 6th, Dettenborn in 7th, Glamsetter 8th, Negretti in 9th, and Barnett rounds out our top 10.
Yeah, there was so many stories and so many narratives throughout that race, and hopefully we're going to get a bit of an insight into a few of them in just a moment with the interviews. By the way, just a quick reminder to like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to Apex Racing TV, because we broadcast a lot of events just like this. I must admit, they're not all as good as this one, but they're pretty close, and every night of the week in multiple time zones we have races on Apex Racing TV. So if you click the subscribe button, also put on the click the bell as well for notifications for whenever we go live, you can see all types of forms of racing, single seaters, prototypes, NASCAR as well that we broadcast, pretty much every category on iRacing covered, Rallycross even actually we broadcast on a Wednesday evening. So do subscribe to Apex Racing TV, we would super appreciate that, and also check out our social media channels as well on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. So we've got quite a selection of drivers to start off with, but I'm going to drag in our 2-time race winner for tonight, Tobias Olsen, who joins us in the commentary box. Congratulations, Tobias, you must be really delighted with how tonight went.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, it went pretty well. Good qualifying, good race 1, and race 2, and race 3, I think. Almost thought I could catch P1 and P2 in race 3, but it's so hard to work yourself to the slipstream of the others when you are a bit behind. But yeah, it was really nice races.
Absolutely. I thought there was going to be a few more problems. I think everyone thought there were going to be a few more problems on lap 1, but you seem to kind of get through it all. I mean, how was it from your perspective on those lap 1s?
I think it was pretty clean from what I could see from my cockpit. Nothing really. It was good, tight racing. No, yeah, really good.
And in that race 2 and race 3 in particular, you had an immense battle with Michael Schlax. Do you have much of a history of Michael? Have you raced against him in this car in the past much?
I don't think so. don't really recognize his name. So, but yeah, I had a really nice pass on him on the outside. I think in race 2, just really fun, good racing.
I think after tonight you will probably be in the lead of the championship with Mate having a slightly off second race. I think you've got the points overhaul, so yeah, 6 rounds to go still, so a long way to go in the championship. Are your eyes already set on that title perhaps? Are you already thinking that way?
I guess so. I will give it a go, try to win it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations Tobias on the 2 race wins tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
No, yeah, to the team, Alkentech and Esports. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Tobias, and yeah, best of luck next week.
Thanks. Great work.
Tobias Olsen there with a first, 2 firsts, and a 4th. He's your highest point scorer tonight. Tyler, who would you like to have a chat with?
I think Florian Beer is the guy we need to speak to next.
Half of the grid was there.
Hey, Mr. Beer, sorry to interrupt you there. Thank you so much
fine.
for joining us here in the commentary box. What a performance from you tonight. Both race 2 and race 3, you really brought it to Marteau and made him, think twice, always looking in his mirrors, always trying to watch that inside line. What was it like tonight trying to get Marteau to crack under the pressure?
Well, I didn't think that, or I didn't expect that I was up there, because in the first race I had a spin, and so I had to fight my way back. But luckily my brother showed me in some previous series how to get on reverse grip pull, and so I had a pretty good start. And I think in the second or third lap there was a major crash just behind us, and from that on we could just concentrate on ourselves, and it was pretty awesome. So I liked fighting with him. He kept it very clean, and in the end, yeah, he's the pro champion of season 3 for a reason, because he never did a mistake in the whole 11 laps, and I did 2 laps before the race ended, and that kept me, or I lost the drag, and I'm pretty happy with P2 despite that, because that's my first podium in the series.
Well, congratulations. The congratulations and the podium was definitely well earned. That was, you were fighting tooth and nail, and it's not easy to follow in these cars, let alone in any car, trying to make sure that you're looking far enough ahead, and also trying to be prepared to deal with the turbulent air, and, and start playing chess, trying to, create or instigate situations that might, better benefit you. We saw you do that numerous times going to turn 1 as well as through the hairpin mid-track. Were there any corners in particular where you really felt like you had an up or an over on Marteau to try to take the lead from him?
I guess I was faster from the hairpin onwards, but I knew if I would just pass him in corner 2, then by the end of the lap he would just overtake me back, just due to the slipstream. So I didn't want to lift, so that's why I went next to him. But I think we both knew that at the beginning it was smarter to not fight too hard and just stay behind each other. And actually, I was preparing to take him by surprise into turn 2 by lifting before and then get maybe on the inside. But yeah, he outsmarted me there.
Well, it's as you said, a previous champion, so there's a reason for that, of course.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the heat format that was employed tonight?
I think it's great. So actually, you're having 3 races. They're a bit shorter, but I wouldn't even mind it if they go a little bit longer. And the fact that you have inverted grids or partially inverted grids makes it a little bit more spicier. And even if you were not that lucky in one of the first races, you can still have a good position for the feature race, or for the feature in the end. So I like it very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Florian. Before you go, is there anybody that you wanted to shout out to?
Well, I'd like to shout out to my family and my brother, and specifically there watching all the races, and also a big shout out to you for bringing up that amazing servers, and I really like it there, and I like watching all the other series as well. So thank you very much, and keep it up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Florian, and congratulations on your your second place finish in this race 3.
Thank you very much.
I've got time for one or two more interviews yet to come. So next up, I will have to drag up Nicholas Rasmussen, who joins us now. Nicholas with a 3rd, a 4th, and also a 14th in that race 3. Nicholas, I imagine mixed emotions because those first 2 races are a lot of fun, but in the end, not quite going your way in that race 3.
No, I mean, it is what it is. Listen, we are racing, and sometimes, like, things happen. You take a risk every time you go side by side, and this time I just got the worst of it in the 3rd race. But at the end of the day, I had a blast. That's what I'm here for. Fantastic racing, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the performance, all things considered, since this is not my strongest track, to be honest.
What's the setup like on the car for a track like this? Because I imagine, obviously, you want a lot of straight line speed, you want to be raceable, but at the same time, you need, you know, that grip through these long radius corners. So, I mean, what's the bounce like?
I mean, obviously, you have to set it up so you get some straight line speed. Otherwise, you're just gonna get eaten in the races. Even if it was a bit faster with lap time wise, with high downforce, it wouldn't work. So that's obviously the direction that we went in. I think, judging by the racing out there, pretty much anybody went in that direction, and makes it tricky, especially on the first few laps when the tires are cold. You don't have the aerodynamic support. But once the tires get up to temp, it's actually alright. This car generates so much downforce anyway, so it's pretty alright, all things considered.
Definitely. And I mean, how was it kind of battling side by side throughout tonight? Because from what I've heard in the official series, it's kind of been a bit of a mess this week, but it was seemingly a bit of a miracle that we kind of avoided quite so many incidents. Obviously, you were in one in race 3, but I was surprised that there weren't more, honestly.
Well, I think it's because there's mutual respect in this league here. People respect each other. We all want to finish, and it goes to the point where you can push it to the absolute limits. And for most of the time, nothing's gonna happen. And I think that's really the thing. Because we all know each other, we all get to race each other week in, week out. You have to have this respect here, and yeah, officials it can be a different story, to say the least.
Next up, we've got Montreal. Divides opinion, that one. Personally, that's one of my favourite circuits. I know other people despise it. What's your thoughts on it in this F3 car?
I like the track unless I hit the wall, which I tend to do a lot. So ask me after the race, if I didn't hit the wall, I would say I love the track. If I did hit the wall, then yeah, a different opinion.
Well, we're crossing our fingers for you, Nicholas. Hopefully you can get back on the podium next time out. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, that's actually why I came here. I just wanted to say thanks to everybody here organizing this series. It's such a great place to race, and I really do appreciate everything that's being done to get this series up and running. So thanks to you guys, and thanks to the team, Alcantech NHR, and my teammate, who did take 2 victories today. So that was good for our team.
Definitely. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Nicholas, and best of luck at Montreal.
Thank you. See you there.
Nicholas Rasmussen there with a 4th position, a 3rd position, and a 14th to end. Now, I think we've got time for one more interview here, Tyler. So, yeah, make your choice. Who are you going to talk with?
I think we should speak with Mr. Morrow after seeing that battle with Negretti, and then throwing his hat in the ring for that battle up front in race 3. Really intense battle, Mr. Morrow. Such a shame to see what ended up happening, and ending up in the back and having to do a little bit of recovery. Can you tell me, what was that like to, just to all of a sudden find yourself battling for that first place position with both Beer and Marteau?
I was actually really surprised. I didn't think that I had that kind of pace, but it was kind of like I was following the draft, and the next thing you know, I was battling 1, 2, 3 with those guys, and it was a lot of fun, I gotta say. I I thought that Nicholas came into me during the race, and it was actually on review. It was actually my fault, and I apologized to him, and he was very understanding. But yeah, my mistake on that one, and it was just really tough, tight racing.
Yeah, high pressure stuff. I mean, in those corners, when especially they're high speed and you're trying not to sacrifice too much time while working with other drivers, all it takes is just that split second decision to basically either do I turn in now or do I turn in then? And if you hesitate, especially in these cars, sometimes that can spell disaster. So certainly understandable from a driving perspective. Major props to you for reaching out and getting that sorted with another driver. Given that that battle with Negretti was just so tight.
Yes.
Were you really focused on trying to get away from him at the start of that race 3, or do you have a history with Negretti prior to this week? I mean, it just seemed like there was so much fire in that battle between you two guys.
I've raced with him a little bit last season, and he seems to have gotten a lot better this season, and he was quite a threat. And honestly, the beginning of that race, I just thought it was going to be a lot of me and him battling again because we seem to have very similar pace. But hats off to him, and just great side by side, and I hope the fans loved it.
I can definitely tell you that I did. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. Is there anybody else anybody you would like to give a shout out to before we close out tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to give a big shout out to all the fans watching. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope we keep it exciting for you. And a shout out to Chris Spots for always tuning in. And according to Joel, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Morrow. And congratulations on your racing. Must have been a blast out there.
It was. Thank you so much, guys.
Have a good night.
You too.
Sam?
Yes, that pretty much brings us our interviews to a close for this round of the Championship Round 2 of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 VRS Super Series. Quick shout out as well to Apex Racing Academy because we haven't really talked about them so far tonight, but 29 data packs available on Apex Racing Academy, so that's 29 different cars covered, and they include setups and track guides, group coaching sessions as well with some fantastic pro drivers to teach you the ropes, and actually all these drivers get a free 1 month subscription to Apex Racing Academy. So in case that's a bit of a selling point for you to want to take part in this championship, entries are open on apexracingleague.com, and yeah, you get a free month trial, which I think is worth about 10 quid, so certainly worth doing. It's a sizable part of the entry fee. Next up we head to Montreal, Tyler. I mean, that place is fairly kind of legendary for single seat machinery. A bit like this circuit, I think, can get a bit treacherous as well because it's another narrow circuit, but unlike this place where you've got big gravel traps around there, it's all walls, so it's going to be a different challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's basically Monza with walls, trying to focus on getting nice, good exits out of just so many chicanes that are on track of varying speeds, with a hairpin that runs you down into the final section there. It's going to be tricky for sure, especially since we see how close these guys like to battle. All it takes is one mistake, and that's going to be a car into the wall, and it will likely catch up a number of other drivers unless they're, already on the balls of their feet. It's going to be real tight. It's going to be real tough. But if these guys can focus on getting slow in and fast out at that corner, it's going to be a blinder of a race just like we saw tonight. And I can tell you what, I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm already looking forward to next. So we had to wait 2 weeks for this round 2 of the championship to come around, but it's only a week break until Montreal. In fact, I believe the final 6 races of the season will come over the course of 7 weeks, so lots of F3 action coming for you on Saturday evenings from here on in for the season. Big thanks to Virtual Racing School, to SDK Gaming, and to Apex Racing Academy for sponsoring the series and offering some fantastic prizes for the drivers. And thanks for you guys for tuning in. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to Apex Racing TV, because then you're that much more likely to get recommended not just any Apex Racing Apex Racing TV streams, but also this specific series if you give it a like. So make sure to do that, and also turn on notifications as well, so you know when we go live for a series. And of course, also check out our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages where you can constantly see updates of what's happening on Apex Racing TV, little highlight videos. I'm sure we've got that full wide move. I think will definitely be blasted around on social media over the next week. So do make sure to follow all of our platforms over there. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Tyler Campbell, and from Marco Barbanet, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you in 7 days' time at Montreal. See you then.